So, okay.
Okay, we're live now.
Hi, team. I'm sorry. This is really weird for me. This is my first time doing a hangout, and I can't see you guys, and it's just strange. Um, but anyways, this is going to be our weekly leadership training on a book called The 21 Laws of Irrefutable Leadership by John Maxwell. Sarah and I were trained on this book by a life coach a couple months back, and we really feel like it had a lot to do with what propelled our businesses forward. So the main goal of the book is how to be a leader. What are the 21 laws of leadership that will take you to the top? Um, so growth equals change is the main theme of the book. So leadership requires the ability to do more than one thing well. So John Maxwell believes in order to be a superior leader, so like a diamond in Plexus, to lead, we must do all 21 things well. And now this is not just being the rank, but this is having a thriving team that you are also creating other leaders. He also wants you to know that no one does all 21 laws well. Now, what a great leader does is great leaders do not create followers, they create more leaders. So what you are going to do is you are going to find other leaders that do the 20 of the other things that you do not do well out of the 21 laws. So he wants you to know also that the laws can be learned. The laws all stand alone. They all carry consequences. And these laws are the foundation to superior, successful leadership. So each week we're going to go over 2 laws. So we're going to start with the first 2 laws, and number 1 law of leadership is the law of the lid. And I was super confused by the name when I first started the course. But basically, what you want to think about with the lid is you want to think about your goals. And now this could be your monthly goals, but this is more so your long-term goals. So your lid is basically here. So wherever your lid is, you're always going to hit right below that lid. So there's a lot of people that go into Plexus and they look at the compensation plan and they say, Emerald, like I could do that. Well, that John Maxwell would consider that as your leadership is about at an 8. And so you're never going to perform actually at Emerald level because you don't believe that you could make it potentially past that point. So he wants you to know that your leadership ability determines how effective you are as a leader, and it determines how effectively you can reach your lid potential. So we always want to be growing as a leader, and we always want to be learning. There's that quote, school's never out for the pros. And if you are a leader in Plexus, you're definitely a pro. So you got to constantly be learning. The higher that you want to climb within Plexus, the more you are going to have to learn how to become a leader. So the higher that you climb up the ladder, the higher you're going to have to raise your lid. The greater the impact that you want to make as a leader, the greater your influence needs to be. So we'll talk about influence in a little bit, but basically what he means is that your leadership in Plexus needs to have a multiplying effect. Are you doing things that people, they follow you and they think, oh man, I could do what she does? Are your posts personal enough and simple enough to where someone could look at them and say, I could do that, and look at her grow, I could grow like that too because she posts about her day-to-day activities. I could do that. So you really want to constantly keep duplication in mind, because in something like Plexus, aka network marketing, duplication is leadership. Personal and organizational effectiveness is proportional to the strength of a leader. So your lid can only go as high as your personal strengths and your organizational strengths. So if my leadership is going off of my organizational strengths, I don't even know how I'm even a senior gold ambassador, first of all. But so we constantly have to be growing in all aspects of our life, and understand that when we want to grow as a leader and make other people into leaders, we have to practice what we preach. And so we can learn all these things and tell all of our teams to do these things, but we have to be doing these things ourselves. And as we do them on a day-to-day basis, our lid is going to get raised higher and higher and higher. So when you apply the law of the lid in your business, it's going to be mostly goal-oriented. So a lot of people work off of daily, weekly, monthly, and long-term goals. So you think about what you would want to do on a day-to-day basis to make yourself just a little bit better than the person that you were yesterday. How can you talk about it? Obviously, Facebook is our avenue for telling people about Plexus. So how can we talk on Facebook about how we're being better every day? That should be your daily goal. Your weekly goal: how many people have you reached out and talked to? How many trial packs have you sold? How many people did you come in contact in person with? Weekly goals are a little bit harder for me than daily goals. But if you keep pushing yourself just a little bit farther, that 1% more every day, your lid gets a little bit higher and higher. Monthly goals. Now these are a little bit bigger. These are rank advancements, how many people you want to join your team, what you want your PV to be at. But you have to take in consideration that your daily and weekly goals are going to control your the effectiveness of your monthly goals. And then where our lid is going to sit at, rather when it's climbing, but where it will sit at, and we have to reach that, would be your long-term goals. And so let me see where I put my long-term goals. So my long-term goals, for an example, would be I would want to lead a team of leaders. I don't want to lead a team of followers. I want to lead a team of leaders. I want to see other Diamond ambassadors on my team. Sarah and I have talked about a really huge goal that I have that my lid is like through the roof on, and I would like to be the youngest Diamond in Plexus, which I would be, if I reach that by April of next year, I would be 24 years old still. And so that is something that is going to put where you're going to place your lid. Now your daily, weekly, and monthly goals are going to be what gets you up to reach your lid. Now you always want to put it as high as you possibly can. Like dream as big as you can, because you don't ever want your lid to come down. Because as soon as you stop learning and stop growing, your lid is going to start coming down. And remember, you're only going to reach just right underneath it. So as you start to like slack off during the day, you start to get into what we call management mode, where you just respond to people on your team all day, or you just make like 20 posts a day. You get into something called management mode, and that lowers your lid little by little every day, because you are not personally growing, you're not personally working, you're not personally meeting your goals that you have set for yourself daily, weekly, and monthly. So let me see here. Sorry, all my stuff is in my lap. So John Maxwell always also talks about, Sarah, are you there? I don't know if she walked away.
I'm here.
Okay. Let me see. Okay, yep, that one's done, so we're ready for the end of the chapter on that one.
Okay, so don't hate me, but I'm going to give you guys a little bit of homework. So grab a pen. The first thing I want you to do, like Sarah was talking about, is list some major goals for yourself. Try to focus on things that are significant to you. Things that are going to require more time, not something that you could accomplish today or in the next couple of days. Think of something big, like if you wanted to be Emerald at convention next year, something like that. Don't make your list too big. It's going to overwhelm you. Make sure your list is maybe like 5 or 6 things. Now I want you to look at that list and identify which of those things are going to require some support, where you're going to need a power partner or a power team if you're going to need some help achieving those goals. For these activities, you're gonna really need your leadership, and you're gonna find it really hard to grow if you're not raising your lid. So now the next piece of homework is to assess your leadership ability. I have a leadership evaluation I'm going to give you, so you're going to want to write that down. Get ready. So I'm going to read a statement, and I'm going to give you some numbers. You're going to number these from 0 to 3. 0 means never. 1 is rarely. 2 is occasionally. And 3 is always. So again, 0, never. 1, rarely. 2, occasionally. 3, always. So I just want you to answer each question with this number. Mommy's talking to her friends. Okay. Okay, first one. When faced with a challenge, my first thought is, who can I enlist to help? Not what can I do? So again, 0 is never, 1 is rarely, 2 is occasionally, 3 is always. Hi, helper. Next question. When my team fails to achieve an objection, my first assumption is that it's some kind of leadership issue. Next one. I believe that developing my leadership skills will increase my effectiveness dramatically. Sarah, do you want me to should I do all of the laws or just the law of the lid for this one?
Why? Just the lid. Sorry, I couldn't figure out how to unmute myself.
So now, with those 3 questions, I want you to add those up, and we're going to use that to figure out where your leadership is at. We're going to do one of these. At the end of this training course, we're going to add all of these together and see where your strengths and weaknesses are, and really help you mold yourself into the best leader that you can be. And like Sarah was saying before, this training course really turned a lot of things around for us. For me especially, I don't know how many of you know my backstory, but I started at the end of November. I didn't start building my team. I went silver the first day of January, and in February I went gold. In March I went senior gold. My team grew really fast. When I joined Plexus, I joined for the wholesale discount, and it just kind of exploded. And my background is in fitness. I was an operations manager. I did administration work in an office in a gym. I managed people. I was a boss, and I was constantly in management mode. And that's not really how network marketing works. And I kind of felt my business stall out. And it wasn't all, some of it is the fact that January through March is a really busy time of year for companies like ours, where we're offering a healthier way of life when people are doing their New Year's resolutions and things. but I will take responsibility because I didn't know how to grow as a leader with this. And this training course and this awesome book came into my life at a very good time, and helped me really understand what personal development was about and how important it was to being successful in this industry. And I think that definitely really hit home once we were at convention and listening to speakers like Troy Dooley and Les Brown, who really make it apparent how important personal growth and development is. So my next piece of homework, if anybody has any other questions about that, feel free to ask me. I totally don't mind sharing my successes and failures and everything if it can help you grow. So next little number on the homework is to ask others to rate your leadership. Talk to people who are going to answer you honestly, your boss, your husband or wife, boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever you have, best friend, people you work with, people who are really going to be honest with you. Really have them be honest about your leadership abilities and have them rate you on a scale of 1 to 10. 1 is low, 10 is high. In people skills, in planning and strategic thinking, in your vision, and in the results that you get. And then once you get those answers, they might not be what you want to hear, but don't let yourself get down, because you can take that and really grow from it. And just as long as you're willing to accept that you're not perfect and that it's okay to fail, you're going to grow and you're going to do amazing. So
I started with those numbers when I first started this back in, when did we start this? February?
I think so.
When I started it, my average for all of those were a 4, and now my average is an 8. So it'll grow as you finish the book and as your team grows a little bit. Is that the last one?
Yep.
Okay. So we'll go on to the second law now, and this one John Maxwell believes is one of the most important laws of leadership, and it's called the law of influence. The true measure of leadership is influence, nothing more and nothing less. Now, when you think about influence in this, you need to think about inspiration. How do your people on your Facebook respond to you? Timmy Yancey is one of our favorite jewels, and she talks about a lot about when you join Plexus as a business and you're ready to work this as a business and make money from Plexus, you need to become your own brand. If you do not have influence, you will never be able to lead others. So if you cannot find a way to inspire people, you will not become a leader. Everyone has gifts. Everyone brings different things to the table. There's something that you can do for your team that nobody else on the earth could do for their team. So you really need to look inside of yourself and think about what makes you inspirational, what makes you influential. And now when I started this leadership course, and I remember our life coach was talking to us about this, I was like, well, nothing. But it takes a lot of soul searching to figure out what you are good at. And it doesn't have to do with Plexus. You will incorporate things from your life into Plexus, and they'll come out through your Plexus business. So with influence, you want to think small stature and big impact. Now, with influence and inspiration comes a lot of myths about leadership, John Maxwell said. The number one myth about leadership is the management myth. A manager is not a leader. I don't know if you have seen, I I've seen them a lot on Pinterest. Like if you look up success quotes or leadership quotes, they have like what managers do versus what leaders do, what a boss does versus a leader, what a leader does. There's a lot of pictures about how a manager is just like pointing towards the direction that the people need to go. So what someone that is caught in management mode or is a manager, not a leader, is having their people do the work for them. They're not personally working. They're sitting back. They're waiting for their team to come out of nowhere. They're waiting for the people on their team to propel them forward. And, you know, they're not being productive. And so in these graphics, they show a leader is in front of all the other people, and they're pulling them along the way. Leadership is simply influencing others to follow. Leadership is not forcing anyone to do anything with you. It's influencing others to come along on a journey and inviting them on a journey. Managers focus on maintaining, whereas a leader knows that their team is going to be Sarah and I called it a revolving door. And so a leader is going to know that they're going to introduce a lot of people to this business. A lot of them are not going to stay, and a select few will stay, and a select few will march to the top as leaders with you. Now, managers are so laser focused on maintaining what they already have. Now, that's not the way to behave in a network marketing company, especially not Plexus, because people's health goals change all the time. And then John Maxwell says the only thing a title can buy is a little time, either to increase your level of influence with others or to undermine it. So the next myth is the entrepreneur myth. A lot of people think that just because someone is good at business, they think that that person would be a great leader. And John Maxwell says that that is a myth because they don't know how to influence people, because an entrepreneur gets into something for themselves. And so they don't know how to influence other people to become leaders, and they are not sure how to invite others on the journey with them because they're so focused on themselves. People that are stuck in the knowledge myth think that the know-it-alls, they think that just because they are so sound on knowing everything, they're convinced that knowledge is power. That doesn't take them anywhere in leadership. That they understand the products, they might have really good sales, they might have really good Facebook posts, but when it comes to leading a team of leaders, that just, I don't see them turning their scientific knowledge into leadership, is what John Maxwell is saying. The pioneer myth. A lot of people think that trendsetters are leaders, and that's not necessarily true. A trendsetter is a fad, and it will eventually wear out. Now, a leader stays true to themselves and is constantly growing with their leaders that they've created. And what John Maxwell says a pioneer does is they're just trend setting, and they're following the leader. So they're followers. They're a bunch of sheep. And he believes that to be a true leader is you are going to instill a vision amongst other people, but they're not just going to see it for you, they're going to see it for themselves. So like a pioneer would be like, oh, you work super hard for me, so I can go diamond, and you guys will do really great too. You'll probably make it to ruby and maybe an emerald and whatnot. But a true leader is going to instill among others that they see their own vision of making it to diamond in a Plexus sense. the position myth. Now, this is probably the management myth and the position myth is probably the most popular in a thing like Plexus. So a position myth is, John Maxwell says, it's not the position that makes a leader. It's a leader that makes the position. Now, I know when we look at our compensation chart, we can get a little confused about what that might mean. Now, it's really important to remember that in Plexus, you do not ever lose your rank, but you can lose points. So just because someone says they are a certain rank does not mean they're necessarily that rank. So just because someone is a jewel doesn't mean that they're a leader. They could be in management mode. They could be working to try to maintain. The position myth is very popular in something like Plexus because I remember what it was like to look at the compensation chart and look at those incomes and the high ranks and whatnot. But if you are not growing yourself as a leader, that's not sustained at any position, honestly. So a rank does not mean that you are a leader. What makes you a leader is how influential you are, how inspirational you are, because both of those show that you are working and growing. And if you are inspiring others to see the vision for themselves, not just see the vision for you, but for themselves, you are following the law of influence. Let's see. So when you apply the law of the influence, sorry, I feel like I'm losing my voice. John Maxwell believes that the proof of leadership is found in the followers, aka the leaders that you are raising. So when you're applying leadership, you need to think about these areas of your life. Your character. Who are you? Who do people think you are? What do people think of when they think of you? Your relationships. Who are the type of people that you know? Who are the type of people that you hang out with? Are they also influential people? Are they inspirational people? Are they fellow leaders? What is your knowledge level? If you are not always growing as a leader, you're going to fail. That's when your lid is going to start coming down every single day. Intuition. What do you feel? Do you follow your feelings in your business? Do you there's something to be said about leaders that stand up for themselves and don't follow the status quo. But they're not necessarily a pioneer. You know, they're still doing the work that they need to do to be influential, but they're putting their own touch on it. So great leaders can see timing, momentum, energy. They have intuition about those things. Also, leadership is experience. Where have they been? What challenges have you faced? What successes do you have? Your ability. What can you do? What are you capable of? What are your strengths and what are your gifts? Sorry, this influence chapter is super long. He believes it's like the most important law possible. But Sarah can go into the homework section for this chapter now.
Hello.
I was like, where did she go?
Just in case my children decide to join, I turned it off. All right, homework again. So first one, which of the myths in the chapter have you bought into in the past? Management, entrepreneur, knowledge, pioneer, or position? Why have you been susceptible to that myth? What does it say about your perception of leadership up until now? What must you change in your current thinking to make you more open to improving your leadership in the future? Next question. What do you usually rely upon most to persuade people to follow you? Rate yourself on a scale of 1 to 10 for each of the 7 factors named in the chapter. 1 is not a factor, while a 10 means you rely on it continually. So, character, which is who you are, relationships, who you know, knowledge, what you know, intuition, what you feel, experience, where you've been, past success, which is what you've done, and ability, which is what you can do, what you're capable of. Rate yourself on a scale of 1 to 10 on each of those. Again, that's character, relationships, knowledge, intuition, experience, past success, and ability. Optimize or better utilize the ones with low scores. Really look into yourself and be honest with yourself so that you can grow. And then the last piece is find an organization that you can volunteer for. Pick something you believe in, like a school, a soup kitchen, or a community project, and offer your time and energy. If you believe you have leadership ability, then try leading. You will learn through influence. And then I have the same questions. Oh, I lost my spot. You're going to rate yourself again with 0 being never, 1 is rarely, 2 is occasionally, 3 is always. I rely on influence rather than on my position or title to get others to follow me or do what I want. So 0 through 3 on that. During discussions or brainstorming settings, people turn to me and ask me for my advice. And the last one, I rely on my relationships with others rather than organizational systems and procedures to get things done. And then that's the last of those questions. And on a continuation for the law of influence, which is what Sarah was talking about, and the continuation of what I was saying on when my momentum capped out because I was in management mode, because that's what I knew, and I didn't think personal development was really necessary. I thought it was kind of silly, honestly. I didn't see why I needed to sit down and read some books on growth and development, and I really didn't want to take the time to do it. But I've realized the importance now, and on days that I can't sit down and read a book, I'll get on YouTube and I will open up a channel on whoever's voice I really feel like listening to that day. I'm a big fan of Sarah Robbins. If I want to listen to something network marketing specific, she's a leader in a specific network marketing company, but she's really generic in the way she talks, and things that she uses can be applied to pretty much any network marketing company. So I really recommend her. If you just really need somebody to make you excited and get you motivated, I say it constantly to my team, but Les Brown is where it's at. That man is awesome. And I really enjoyed him at convention because he had us interact, or he interacted with us. And he does, I mean, they're live videos, so he's interacting with those crowds too. And you can get really cheesy and you can repeat after him in your kitchen while you're doing dishes, which is where I listen to my videos. Well, I don't, not just dishes, but when I'm in my kitchen, cleaning my kitchen, I spend a lot of time in my kitchen during the day. But when you have just make time for personal development, whatever you're doing, whatever you're doing, just make some time for it, whether you can sit down and read a book, or whether you have to listen to something on YouTube, or if you can pick up some audio and listen to them in your car. But personal development is super important, and I really encourage you to work on yourself so that you can grow and be more successful. As soon as I started doing personal development, I saw a major change, and the big shift for me was during convention when they were talking about focusing on the growth of your team as a whole and not just where your next rank advancement is coming from. And it really made a big shift in my mind. And I got to a point, because it's really easy to get caught up in wanting that next rank advancement and wanting to move to the next level. But once I started thinking about when I was going to be able to see my next gold, because I had one gold at that point, but I had someone else who was super close. And I just really wanted to see her go gold. And now I have someone who's super close to senior gold. I have more golds on the very close horizon. There's tons of silvers coming up. And I get so much more excited about seeing those people rank advance, because it's amazing to watch those lives get changed. And then you know that once, as your team is growing, you're going to continue to grow too. So I'll get to Ruby. I should get to Ruby this month, but as long as I keep working with my team to help them grow, I'm going to grow too. And that was a major shift that I needed to see, because I just got so caught up in my growth and me, that I failed to realize that I had a team under me that needed my support. And now I spend a lot of time pouring my energies into figuring out ways to get them excited or help them grow. So personal development, do it. That's all
I think that the last thing that we should leave with both of these is for the law of the lid. I know certain things can seem so far away, and they did for me too. Like, I remember going gold, and I could not even believe it for 3 days. So think about, I want you to envision yourself in that Lexus. Envision yourself in your diamond collage that your sponsor is going to make for you. Think about what you're going to say when the company asks you what your experience was when you went diamond. I definitely know what I'm going to say. Les Brown taught us that at convention, that you should already have that prepared, because you know within yourself that's happening. Your lid should be high enough to where there's no way that's not happening. And also, Sarah Robbins says 95% of people that stay in a network marketing company, for depending on how new the company is, I think with Plexus it would probably be about 5 years, they will reach the top of the company. So raise your lid, put it through the roof. It's definitely scary to think about, but I think about every single day. If I just work 1% more than I did yesterday, I could be the youngest diamond in this company, and that's where my lid is at, and I don't let it fall down. Now, what I would leave you with the law of influence is, even if you're brand spanking new, think about your story. Think about how sick and tired you were. Think about the people that are on your Facebook. Who is your story gonna touch? Because if you never open your mouth about your story, you're never going to grow a team. You're never going to have customers. You're never going to have that rock star on your team. You need to get comfortable and honest with yourself about what you were experiencing before. When I first started Plexus, all I could talk about was weight loss, because for some odd reason that wasn't embarrassing to me. I could not talk about being depressed and having horrible anxiety. I could not talk about how my anxiety was so bad that I couldn't leave my house by myself with my kids. I literally would not even pay our bills because my anxiety was so bad socially. I couldn't even get on the phone. I was too embarrassed to talk about that. As soon as I got into that side of my story, my influence went up. And I opened my mouth and I shared the raw side of my story, and it all went up from there. You have to be confident in yourself. I talk about it a lot in my group. Confident, consistent, having character. That is what's going to bring influence. So I'm done rambling. But I hope that you guys enjoyed this, and next week we're going to talk about the law of the process and the law of navigation. I hope you guys have a good night.
Have a good night, everybody. Thanks for jumping on with us.